Alright, let's talk about how the world may end. So this past week I just saw Oppenheimer, directed and written by the one and only Christopher Nolan and starring Cillian Murphy as the leading character, was just released this past week and grossing out $10.5 million on Thursday evening only, and climbing. Moviegoers, this is a biopic that I feel surpasses all biopics I've seen in my life, and I love movies that are based on historical events, especially if it takes place during a war, even though this film does not depict any battle. First off, let's talk about the incredible performance real quick. Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy, fully captures the intensity and brilliance of the renowned physicist. From his professional and personal life to the weight of the world on his shoulders, every performance by the cast were done incredibly well, and in most time you would notice just how complex the engagement between characters were. And I'll talk more about the complexity of the dialogue in a minute. I honestly feel that a lot of the credits should go to Nolan's direction and screenwriting. He masterfully weaves together Oppenheimer's story with stunning visuals and a compelling narrative, let alone being about the creation of the atomic bomb and the message Nolan was conveying. And the biggest message is obviously the film's excellent portrayal of the ethical debates surrounding the development of the atomic bomb and the internal struggles faced by Oppenheimer and his team. In addition, the attention to detail in recreating like the laboratories during wartime settings is impeccable, especially the setting of Los Alamos. Which, for those of you who are interested in making road trips down to New Mexico, Los Alamos, that's where the nuclear test took place. And I gotta say, this is the type of film that makes you want to study quantum physics in a way. And that's one of the other great things about this story. Oppenheimer was an educator and a researcher. Like, really, if I were to enroll in a physics class, I want this guy to be my instructor. And no, I don't want to build my own bomb. I mean, it's not just a film about science, it's also a complex examination of the human condition, and the script itself delves into the moral implications of creating a weapon of mass destruction and forces viewers to question their own beliefs and values. And Nolan illustrates this perfectly in the last shot of the movie when he and Einstein, played by Tom Conti, had their last conversation about the potential consequences that this would all have. Now, as I mentioned before, the dialogue between characters is pretty much one of the most complex pieces of the movie, more noticeably during the first and second act. Now, keep in mind that this almost 3-hour film, most of the interaction and what's being said does make the movie feel like it's all over the place. And personally for me, I find myself like shifting a few times in my seat just so I can try to stay focused and on what's going on. I mean, there are flashbacks, flash forwards, and the shifting perspectives between Oppenheimer and Louis Strauss, played by RDJ. And I do feel that some, if not most folks, won't be able to retain what's going on. Granted, there are some humorous moments, especially with Matt Damon's character. And it's not until you get to the third act that it becomes a lot more interesting during Oppenheimer's trial. One of the scenes I loved during the third act was Kitty Oppenheimer's interrogation with the board members, and Kitty was played by Emily Blunt. So many social and political elements plays a huge role in this movie. Emily's performance when she was being direct to Roger Robb's character by saying, "I don't like how you phrased that question." And if I remember, I think she was being made to admit that her husband was a communist, trying to get her to admit that, but overall, she was just being blunt. So there we go, and if you guys made it this far in the review, thanks so much for sticking around and considering liking this video and subscribing for upcoming reviews. And with all of that said and done, I am giving this film an optimistic rating of 8.5 out of 10. And I will continue saying it, this is Nolan's incredible project that exceeded all my expectations. Even though it's a movie that is more dialogue driven than action driven, by the end of it you realize how much the story made sense. Recommendable? 100%. It's an absolute must see. I will also say that it's an important story to understand and kind of reflect on what consequences of using technology to build weapons that would result, well, in our demise. Hence why we are saying no to AI. Is it rewatchable? I'm gonna say Yes, it is. I would say it's rewatchable for like a second time worth watching just to understand a little bit more about the case, how everything just unfolded. And mind you, I've seen the movie on IMAX, and if I were to see it again, I would just seen it in a standard screening where the sound is just a little bit lower than just regular IMAX sound, and that way it'll be a lot easier to kind of understand more clear in regards to the dialogues. So that's all I have for today, guys, and I hope you guys are having an awesome summer. Stay cool, stay safe, and continue to watch movies the way they were meant to be seen, because it's better when we watch together.